Wi-Fi podcast. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Right now, I'm trying to share a post.
All right, take your time with that. So I wanted to talk about Windows 11. I did some testing specifically with the Wi-Fi on Windows 11. I upgraded my laptop. It's an Acer Aspire AS15-54, and it has a Wi-Fi 6 Intel AX201 card in it. And I did some throughput testing with the Ruckus R750 Wi-Fi 6 access point, and I saw around 8 to 900 megabits per second, which probably is about the same as Windows 10. I don't think they changed any of the drivers or anything, but that seemed pretty good to me. And I was just checking through to see like what they changed as far as Wi-Fi goes on Windows 11. Windows 11 is really just, it's not a huge upgrade. It's just like I would say it's like it's just like a look and feel upgrade to Windows 10.
Yeah.
So it's not like a super big upgrade. It does look nice. They changed some of the themes. They put some of the changed around the taskbar a little bit. But in the Wi-Fi settings now, you can set a privacy mode. So just like on iOS, you can have Windows 11 now randomize your MAC address. So how does that affect some of the Wi-Fi systems?
Well, I mean, if you're using Mac blocking, then we have a feature in ours where you can block random. You can turn on block random MAC addresses, and it will block it. And you can also send a message to the person that you're blocking saying, "Hey, the reason you're being blocked is because you have random MAC address on."
Oh, really? I didn't realize that. That's pretty cool.
So you can turn that on in our system. I think other manufacturers are probably doing that. I haven't looked at that specific feature, but that's something that we added. I don't know, probably about 6 months ago.
Okay.
But it's somewhat hidden. There's a section called General Settings under the configuration area where you can do a lot of pretty neat things, and that's one of those things is you can block random MAC address connections and send the person a message saying, "Hey, if you want to
connect to our network,
you need to turn that off."
And so, you're not using MAC addresses for security so much anymore, but using it to track users, so this person, they could spoof it or whatever, but you pretty much know that this MAC address belongs to this person's device, right? So as you, the owner of the Wi-Fi system, you may want to know whose devices are coming in and kind of track them, right?
Yeah, of course. Yep. Yeah, and every SSID a device connects to, it's using a different MAC address.
Yeah, right.
So is what I learned through some testing that we did internally. I think with a customer I was testing that, and you could see the same device going to another SSID with a different MAC address. So
yeah, well, that's on iOS. I haven't fully tested what it does on Windows 11. It probably does the same thing, but so we saw on iOS that it would connect to every SSID. It would use that same random MAC address, right, and it would change it on the next SSID. So
that's right.
So you can I guess you could kind of track who it was still by that random MAC per SSID, but I don't know, it confuses things.
Yeah, like I said, if you're doing MAC blocking, then
MAC blocking, that's not,
totally,
it's not really a secure way to do anything anymore anyway. But if you're doing MAC blocking 100%, you want to
a lot of people still, the reason I bring that up is a lot of people still use that. So you will have to turn that on.
Yeah.
But that's, whatever.
So that was one of the big changes I saw on the Wi-Fi, and then they also changed like the taskbar icons, so they make it harder to basically connect now. You have a two-step process to connect to a new network, but it looks good. I'll post a link to my little review I did here on my blog in the video comments, so people can look at that if they have questions about upgrading to Windows 11 and how the Wi-Fi is going to work. All right, what else did you want to talk about today, Brian?
So we have, I guess I'll talk about the the new features that are in in cloud. So there's two new features. So we continuously upgrade and add new features into the cloud, probably on a monthly basis, if not bi-weekly. You'll see more and more features come in, but there's two main features that can be found under the radio settings, and that's Exclude Dfs Channels, and the other one is DCS, which is Dynamic Channel Selection. We'll talk about Exclude Dfs. Exclude Dfs is when the 5 gigahertz is on auto channel, and you're using a device that is certified for DFS channels, so they can use all the channels within 5 gigahertz. And if you set it to auto, when you set a device to auto, what happens is when the AP comes up for the first time or it gets reconfigured, the device goes out, this is when it's set in auto, the device will go out and look at the environment and go, okay, this is the best channel, I'm going to set myself to this channel until I'm rebooted again, or there's a configuration change, and then it will change the channel again. That's pretty much auto channel. But if you have Exclude DFS on, it will exclude any of those DFS. It will exclude all DFS channels and will not choose one of those channels to set itself to, just to be on the safe side. If you're close to like a police station or an airport or whatever. So that's what Exclude DFS is. So that's a new feature that's built in. The other feature is DCS, which is Dynamic Channel Selection. Yeah. Too many DFS, DSS. So dynamic channel selection, that is almost like a auto channel, but it's way better than auto channel. So what happens is when the access point comes up, the access point understands what the channel utilization is, if it's high or if it's low, or if it's good or bad, basically. If it's good, then it will set itself to a particular channel, but if it's bad, it will change itself to a different channel that's on a clearer channel or less used channel. DSS will do this every 15 minutes. So it will check the environment, and if it needs to make a change, it will make a change based off of channel utilization. So DSS is an advanced auto channel where it's happening every 15 minutes. So it's dynamic. So it's so it's making adjustments based off the environment, and that's happening basically every 15 minutes.
So yeah, it's like an intelligent channel selection feature. Some of the other manufacturers have it too. And what I've seen from let's say Ruckus Channelfly, that it'll optimize the network for the best speeds and performance channelization wise. But it could, in the short term, it could disrupt the network, right? Because it may do disconnects. To change channels. Now, any of the newer devices, your new iPhones, things like that, it's going to send a channel change, and they shouldn't be interrupted. But some of the older devices may have to reconnect to the new channel. So that's probably what we'll see.
Yeah. So it's a really good tool when you're first installing access points. You can turn this on. You can leave it on if you want to, or you can turn it on. Leave it on for like the first 24 hours if you want to, and then turn it off if you want to. Mm-hmm. You can definitely leave it on, and it will constantly over 15 minutes it will check the environment and change if it needs to.
Yeah, I mean I think if you're in an environment where they're constantly doing speed tests, they want to see the fastest speeds. That's something to leave on because that's what it's gonna optimize for is like. To have everything on the optimal channel, right? Like it's not going to put it on a compatible channel where they're sharing bandwidth. It's going to put it on like where the channel where each AP is going to get the most throughput for itself.
Yeah. And the other thing I would look at is so we have another thing called high channel utilization. It's basically an alert. So if you see high channel utilization. And this feature is off. DCS is turned off. You can turn it on to readjust all your devices to better channels. So that's another time that you could potentially use it because it was just implemented. So a lot of customers are probably not using it. Now, the one thing I would say is there's a firmware that will be released on Monday, which is a beta firmware, which we allow our customers to use beta firmwares if they want to test. So beta firmware will go out on Monday, so you'll be able to test this feature out on Monday.
Okay, let's talk about the client balancing feature too now. Um, so I had a customer that had this turned on. It looks like it's on by default. Do you know that for sure?
I believe it is turned on by
Okay,
default.
so I would think if client balancing means like if you have two access points and you have 10 devices, it's going to try to balance them between those two access points, right? Um, the problem is though, you may not be in the optimal, you may be closer to one access point, but it's still going to keep you associated to the other because it wants to balance out the devices, right? So you
Yep.
may see slower speeds if you have that enabled. So I would say don't really enable it unless you're on like a high capacity network with like lots of users.
High capacity, large network.
Large
Yeah.
network. So if you're in a
Yeah.
school or something like that, and high or hotel maybe with a lot of users, maybe not even a hotel because there's not that many users per AP. You know what I mean? Like there's only so
Yeah.
many per room, right? So maybe in a school, places where there's a lot of
Where there's a lot of where there's not a lot of movement, I would say.
right,
Like
right.
if it's classrooms, I would probably have it turned on.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because
But if
you
it's
definitely
in
want to
like
balance devices. You don't, if you're in a classroom, you don't want, and you have two APs in that classroom, let's say, you don't want all the users on the one that's closest to them. You want to distribute them.
yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to make sure that the signal strength is good. Wherever that client moves, you want to make sure the signal strength is good. So yeah, like in a stationary area, more station like the client devices are more. Is probably a good way to go with a lot of users, right? So
Yep.
it's very very particular. Like in a home, I wouldn't turn it on.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. I just had a little power outage here. But
Okay.
yeah, it looks like my UPS has kicked in and we didn't lose connectivity. So that's
Yeah.
good.
Awesome.
So, all right. So, yeah, that want to talk about that, and you want to talk about what else? The security appliance?
Yeah, so we just launched two new access points. I'll give you the part numbers. You don't have to remember the part numbers. It's the ECW 230S and the ECW 220S. These are both Wi-Fi 6 access points, very similar to two other models that we have. But the difference with this, it offers multiple things, multiple of features. So it offers wireless intrusion detection and also offers wireless intrusion protection. Also offers zero weight DFS. And these particular devices have dedicated radios, so meaning they have two radios that serve the client devices and two other radios that serve as scanning the background, understanding the RF environment, and looking. And this is what the wireless intrusion detection and protection use to scan the environment as well. It also has RF spectrum analysis on it too. So it gives you more features in regards to understanding the environment, like high channel utilization. So there's a lot of tools that are coming into play, like DCS, Exclude Dfs, these new access points that will help with the environment. Also secure the environment for Wi-Fi attacks, for example, like rogue APs. It will detect rogue APs, rogue SSIDs, and things like that. The other thing that we have implemented on these two devices is Bluetooth 5 low energy, which will give you the ability to see Bluetooth devices. But better yet, if you're in the retail industry, you can use a third party and will provide APIs, and you can do location-based advertising for these particular access points. But they're set to deliver. We did the release yesterday. They're set to deliver by the end of December, maybe the beginning of January.
Okay.
But adding a lot of features to this.
Sorry about that.
This is real time.
Yeah, this is real time. We're doing real time today. So all right, so that's a security access point. Now that thing has 4 radios plus Bluetooth in it.
That's right. Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
But I already had some people asking about it after your press release, but it's not going to be available prior to the end of the year. So we don't even have pricing. We haven't tested it yet. So
Yeah.
if you have a network that you're putting out there now, do the EWS ECW 230 standard one is the one that's available now.
Yeah, and one last thing I would bring up, because we talked about this. I don't know if you had something else to talk about, but um, if you are using Wi-Fi 5 right now, you probably should buy your inventory as soon as possible. If you're willing to move to Wi-Fi 6, then there's still issues. I'm talking about the supply of
Yeah.
devices, right? So, but if you're interested in Wi-Fi 5, you better buy your Wi-Fi
Devices
products
now. Yeah.
now. Do not wait, because we do see. I mean, there's vendors already having major issues with these devices, but yeah, there's definitely some issues out there in regards to Wi-Fi 5. You should be moving to Wi-Fi 6 anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're stuck on Wi-Fi 5, you better make the move now. I would not wait. And this is not me trying to sell you Wi-Fi 5. I'm just letting you know that the supply is starting to run really, really thin right now. So for us anyway. So you better get out there and make your purchases now.
Yeah, I mean, so the problem you're talking about is like chipset availability and prioritizing whether they're going to build Wi-Fi 5 or Wi-Fi 6 chipsets, right? So,
Yeah.
If you're looking for a particular 11AC Wi-Fi 5 device now, you may be able to find it now, but you may come next year they may not ever build it again because they're just going to transition to Wi-Fi 6. So all that Wi-Fi 5 stuff that you have been using, you probably want to just transition to Wi-Fi 6 now.
Yeah. Yep.
Because if you do find it now, that may be the last of it, and they're just going to transition to Wi-Fi 6 in the future.
Yeah, and another thing I'd bring up as well is, obviously warranties still go into effect, support still goes into effect, so all those things still go into effect.
Yeah.
It's just the availability of particular chips.
Yep.
And so, you want to make sure, to have that in your inventory or stock for your upcoming projects or your projects moving into the next year. So just be aware of that, and or consider moving into Wi-Fi 6.
Even so, we're telling people if they have projects that between now and the end of the year or early next year to buy the equipment now. I mean, I know it doesn't usually happen, but if you have a project that you know is going to move forward, you better buy that equipment now, because we just don't know day to day like what's going to be available.
Yeah.
Even on Wi-Fi 6.
The other thing is, we typically forecast for like a run rate, right? And we try to consider what's in the pipeline in regards to projects and things like that. But projects, there's current vendors that don't have the availability right now. So what's happening is you find these different projects or buyers of these projects going to different vendors and buying up their supply.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that's popping up. So you definitely want to be keep that in consideration.
Yeah.
Because we're seeing that a lot.
All right, sounds good.
And that doesn't even discuss 24 port and 48 port. Sorry, Jeff.
Oh no, it's okay.
24 port and 48 port switches. 48 port switches is difficult right now as well.
Yeah.
So you should also consider that as well. So.
Yeah, I mean, so we don't have any 48 port switches right now from any manufacturer. We had some ingenious 48 ports. They got bought up. But we have plenty of 24 port ingenious cloud switches. The non-cloud switches, those are sold out right now. The EWS 1200s, those are sold out. So if you're looking for those, you're probably going to have to switch over to the cloud managed version of that.
Yeah.
So, all right. Please remember to like and subscribe for more help with Wi-Fi and other tech products. And we'll see you next week.